Okay, so today we're going to go through our Sydney Metro West project. So the Sydney Metro West is a 24-kilometre underground line connecting Parramatta and the Sydney CBD, two of Sydney's biggest economic centres. Its main goal is to double rail capacity and cut the trip between the two cities to just 20 minutes. It is part of the New South Wales government's Metropolises of Three Cities plan, which aims to make Sydney more balanced and connected across east, centre and west. The project adds 8 new stations linking the area's Westmead to Olympic Park and 5 dock directly to the CDB. Beyond transport, it's really about shaping the city, easing road congestion, creating jobs, and encouraging new housing and business growth around each station. So overall, Metro West isn't just about faster trains, it's about building a more connected and sustainable city of Sydney. From a broader view, a macro view, Metro West sits in one of Australia's most productive corridors between Parramatta and CBD, an area that right now makes up around 7% of national GDP. The project will create about 10,000 direct and 70,000 indirect jobs and help support hundreds of thousands of new residents and workers over the next 2 decades. It's also a big driver of urban growth, unlocking tens of thousands of homes and jobs near these new stations while cutting around 83,000 daily car trips, which should ease congestion and emission in the area. Looking on a more local level or micro level, the metro will tackle serious crowding as current train lines are projected to hit 120% capacity by 2036. The new line will double that capacity with automated trains every 4 minutes and carry up to 40,000 passengers each way per hour. That means shorter waits, smoother journeys, and a more dependable network. Overall, giving Sydney a faster, more efficient, and future-ready transport system.
Thanks, Victor. Moving on to the stakeholders and beneficiaries of this project. So, of course, we have like a lot of public institutions such as the New South Wales government, the infrastructure in the New South Wales area region, and the transport in New South Wales, which in different shapes or forms are responsible for the funding and the administration building of this project. We of course also have the Sydney Metro, which is part of the construction process, but more importantly are the ones who are going to take over the project when it's done. So they are the ones who are going to operate the newly increased metro lines. Then, of course, one of the biggest stakeholders are the local councils in the city of Sydney and Parramatta, and in between, because they have a huge stake because they will get increased people who can transport between the two areas, as well as private developers and businesses which can benefit from the increased infrastructure, and benefit from that, as well as residents and commuters. And of course, there's like a wider community thing where the aim is to let the wider communities blossom. But unfortunately, there is also like an environmental impact of this, where the construction is of course really environmentally heavy, but it should also reduce the use of cars and congestion. And then we have the financial cash flow, where we only look at the financial metrics. So what we have used there, we have of course our benefits and our cost and our net cash flow down here, where we mostly can see that around we have estimated an yearly revenue of $400 million, which is based upon the financial statement from previous years, and then assumed a percentage of that, which is then compared to the operating cost and maintenance cost, also derived from the same financial statement from 2 years ago, where we can see year for year we actually net flow net cash flow positive, so we actually make money every year financially, but the capital cost is simply too big for the $25 million, even though we also have a salvation cost at the end, which Rasmus will come back to in a bit, but doesn't seem financially like a good case.
The financial cash flow, the annual fair revenue from this project would be 400 million Australian dollars annually. This was estimated from the current Sydney Metro performance, and this indicates a limited direct revenue potential, mostly due to the ticketing system being regulated under OPAL, so they won't be able to regulate fare prices up and down in relation to the cost of the project, which comes to $25.32 billion. And when comparing to the estimated annual fare revenue, that's a big gap. So in the financial net present value, which was calculated with a 7% discount rate over the full 100-year period this project is supposed to last, the 7% discount rate comes from the 4 to 10% used for governmental projects. And it comes to a negative 24.5 billion Australian dollars, which indicates a terrible financially standalone investment. This is also illustrated by the internal rate of return, which comes to a negative 1.5%, far below private investment benchmarks. In the economic flat cash flow, we have taken non-monetary benefits and costs into account as well, where the yearly benefits has now risen to $1.215 billion. This value was estimated from the total benefits estimated at the project proposal for this project. And additionally, non-monetary cost has been added to the cash flow as well. When the project was proposed, the total economic benefits was estimated to be $17.35 billion with an economic net present value of $4.5 billion. That was calculated with an initial cost of $13 billion, but that has now almost doubled to the $25 billion. And when comparing the cost to the total economic benefit over the lifetime of the investment, it does indicate a bad investment. This is also illustrated over the revised economic net present value, which comes to a negative $13.9 billion, indicating that the costs have risen to a far too great level.
This slide summarizes the key financial and economic results for the Sydney Metro West project. The updated analysis shows a financial NPV of minus $24.4 billion and an internal rate of return of minus 1.5%. This means that the fare revenues are not sufficient to cover the total project and operating costs. From an economic perspective, the revised NPV is minus 13.9 billion and the benefit cost ratio is below 1.0, indicating that the project's total discounted benefits don't outweigh its costs. In short, under current assumptions, the project is not financially or economically viable. Moving to the more qualitative side of the project, this slide highlights the main risk categories. The highest risks are construction cost escalation, project delays, and macroeconomic pressures, all rated medium to high. These stem from rising material prices, potential tunneling, or approval delays and inflation volatility. Political and governance risks are rated medium, reflecting possible funding or priority changes, while operational, environmental, and social risks are also medium, but generally manageable through strong systems and management. In summary, most risks are controllable if managed proactively, but cost and schedule requires close oversight. To conclude, the Sydney Metro West project faces significant financial challenges. The updated figures confirm that it's not financially or economically viable, but it remains still a strategically essential project for Sydney's long-term development. The project will double rail capacity, it will ease congestion, and it will support the 30-minute city vision, providing major social and network benefits. Since construction is also already underway, there are substantial sunk costs that cannot be recovered if the project was to be cancelled. Stopping now would risk undermining public trust and urban planning coherence. Therefore, the most rational path forward is to continue implementation under strict cost control, strengthen governance, and transparent performance monitoring. In summary, Sydney Metro West is economically fragile, but also strategically necessary for the city's future mobility and productivity.